How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay Contact, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. We are going to be doing another segment for Get to Know That Cosplayer, and tonight's guest is RyannStarr Cosplay. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, to begin the interview for tonight, how long have you been cosplaying for?
I've been cosplaying, I want to say September of 2018, but I didn't really take off cosplaying until midway through 2019. So
And
2 to 3 years.
what got you into cosplaying?
I had a friend who was really into cosplay. She liked to sew, and I came from my mom knew how to sew, and she makes a lot of clothes. And so I grew up learning how to sew, and just the idea of being able to create costumes and other pieces and seeing a friend that can do this and just become a whole nother person really entertained me. And so I would help her with that. And then I remember my very first con back in
Hmm.
2013, when I first cosplayed. I dressed up as Lady Thor to meet Stan Lee, and it wasn't anything great, but just the idea of getting to go meet somebody that you enjoy their work dressed as one of the characters they've created was a lot of fun.
That was pretty nice. What was it like being able to meet such a legend such as Stan Lee?
It was I oh it was a lot of fun. I did a photo opportunity with him, and it's my favorite photo I've ever had, and it hangs above my computer. So it was I just don't even have words to describe it because I grew up with the Thor comics, and so just meeting the person that created the universe for Thor and just the person that just owns Marvel was just fascinating.
Nice. And what con did you happen to meet Stan Lee at?
It was Wizard World in February of 2013.
And this was in Portland, correct?
Yeah, it was in Portland.
Okay. Now I've heard of Wizard World. That's a fairly big con in Oregon, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it
Yeah,
held? Sorry, continue.
no, you're good.
Is that held at the same convention? Is that held at the same spot as KomoriCon, or is it at a different building?
It's held in the same spot as KomoriCon, which I was supposed to attend last year and simply didn't wasn't able to. And then it's also held in the same place as Rose City Comic Con.
Nice, nice. Now, for those who are starting out to go to a convention, would you recommend Wizard World?
As a first con, I think it's great if you're local to the area. It's definitely a popular place. It's a popular con amongst cosplayers. Artist Alley is really nice if you're really like looking at artwork. This last year, just because of COVID, they didn't have a lot of meet and greets, but it's a really great place to get photo opportunities or just go and meet cosplayers, talk to cosplayers, hang out with friends. There's a great place indoors where you don't have to have a ticket to go into Artist Alley, but you can just sit and hang out with people. And I think that's my favorite part of the Wizard World is just being able to have a spot where I can go and sit with friends and hang out with other cosplayers.
Nice. Well, that's good. Because I know most cons, you need a ticket no matter what to go inside, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty good to know for anyone who's wanting to go to Wizard World for their first time. How much do tickets normally cost for Wizard World, if you don't mind me asking?
I usually go just on Saturdays. And if I remember, I think a ticket is around $60, which I feel with this last year was a little bit much just because there wasn't a lot to do. But my first time I attended Wizard World, it felt like a really decent price just because you got to go see a lot. You get to see Artist Alley and you can attend panels and you just get to see a ton of people. And there's a lot of different things to do there, including karaoke and food and drinks and again, just a ton of panels to go sit on for cosplay and for TV shows and to meet actors, photo ops, things like that.
Very nice. So, you said your first cosplay was Lady Thor. Did you make that, or did you buy the cosplay?
It was actually a closet cosplay. I do a lot of closet cosplays. I'm the type of person that likes to work on a really small budget just because I have a small budget. So I wore a blue dress with a cheap red cape I got off of Amazon, and then I had a friend who had a headband and a set of gloves that she gave to me to be able to wear for the con. And then I had another friend who donated me a pair of her boots. So a lot of it was recycled and just stuff that I found out of my closet. But for a first cosplay, it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Now, are there any recommendations for those who are on a budget? What would you recommend for those who are getting into cosplay for the first time and they're also on a budget?
Thrift shopping, lots of thrift shopping, seeing what you have in your closet first. What I like to do is I like to browse through what I have in my closet or things that I might already own and seeing if I have anything that'll fit certain characters I want to do. One cosplay that I absolutely love is Roxanne from a Goofy movie. I was going through my stuff in my closet one day looking for outfits for another character, and I realized that I had everything I needed for her from wig, shirt, shorts, and it was super easy to do. So definitely thrift shopping and just seeing what you already have. And then if you know somebody that might have an item that you need for a cosplay, don't hesitate to ask them.
Nice. Yeah, and I actually seen your Roxanne cosplay from a Goofy movie. Now, did you have to like style the wig just to get it almost accurate to her hairstyle?
Um, when I first got the wig, it was a little overly curly, so I did have to do a little bit of brushing it out and taking a straightener to it, but it was actually super easy to do. I have a hard time styling wigs, and so I actually have one of my best friends that does most of my wig work. But if it's something simple, I try to do it myself just to save money.
Very nice. Let's see. Now, have with your cosplays, have you had that one cosplay that just took you a long time to get set up and everything?
I think the hardest cosplay that just took me a really long time to figure out was my first piece that I made completely from scratch. I have a hard time reading sewing patterns. I freehand a lot of my patterns or I mock things up. And so 2019 for Rose City, I went as Princess Buttercup from The Princess Bride.
Oh my.
And I remember being so sick with a cold that Friday. And we were going Saturday, and my friend and I were up until 4 a.m. finishing the dress. And we finished it. It's one of my favorite dresses. It was actually super cheap to make, but it's heavy. But just taking it took us, I think, about a week and just major con crunch to cut out the pattern, cut out the fabric, pin it together, and sew it. But I have another photo with Carrie Ellis, and it's again one of my favorite photos, just me dressed as Princess Buttercup. And you can see in my eyes just how tired I was and how sick I was, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of stories from cosplayers who, get their stuff ready like at last minute, and I imagine that's not the first time you probably had to, do a cosplay at last minute before getting ready for the con.
Oh no, Tara was the same way when I did her for Wizard World that same year. She was very much a last minute piece. My friend was going as Raven, and I was like, I'm going to do Tara the week before. And so we had to figure out how to make the shirt and make the belt and order everything. So that was another very last minute decision with major con crunch.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, she wears is it a full shirt or a crop top? I'm trying to, and this is the one from the Teen Titans animated series, right?
Correct. And it's a crop top. I that was another thrift find. I went to the thrift store, found a black turtleneck, cut it, sewed the bottom so it would stay, and then I had my sister vinyl print the logo onto it. So that was another thrift find and with a little bit of tweaking.
Nice. Did you happen also have the goggles as well for it?
I got the goggles from Goodwill as well, and then I
Nice.
used foam around them to make them look slightly like her. They're definitely a piece I'd want to rework so they're more screen accurate, but I'm satisfied with them for being one of my earlier cosplays.
Very nice. And what made you want to? What made Princess Buttercup your first handmade cosplay?
I've had a hard time finding any sort of dresses that would work, whether it was online or at Goodwill. And because I wanted to get a photo op with Carrie Elwes, I was determined to have a screen as close as I could get to a screen accurate dress. And I had a pattern on hand. And I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just go. Let's see how it works out. And just threw caution to the wind, basically.
Now,
Yeah.
have you ever had any cosplay mishaps, like something ripped, torn, fell off, or it's just something just did not work with the cosplay?
Um, little things here and there. Like when I was working on Princess Buttercup, there was a couple of spots that I had missed with the sewing machine. So there'd be a couple holes. Or with Tara, her belt isn't the most sturdy. We had a hard time making the not the belt itself, but the pockets that go on there. We had a hard time stabilizing those. And so I've had pieces like Velcro come off or holes just in little places, but I've never had anything major happen, thankfully.
Well, that's good to hear. So, since you make your own cosplays, have you ever had anyone commission from you to make them a cosplayer or props or anything like that?
Anybody commission anything from me?
Yes.
My two closest friends though, we like to do trades. My friend JL, she's the wig unicorn on Instagram. She does all of my wig work, and so we'll exchange and we'll sometimes do sewing work for her. So, like right now, I'm working on a casual academy dress for her, and then I have another friend that I also like to do pieces with, and so I just finished creating a Jedi Ariel look for her. She had the pieces, and they just needed a little tweaking, and so I finished it up for her and then helped her take photos. But I've never had anybody do commit like take commissions from me, but it's definitely crossed my mind to open up a shop or offer commissions.
Yeah, that's actually be my next question. If you ever thought about opening like an Etsy shop and take commissions from people.
Have. Um, I definitely want to work on my sewing skills a little bit more just because I'm still kind of a beginner. And then also just because I'm in school full time. But it's definitely something that I've thought about to help with like making smaller pieces, or even right now with the pandemic, with making masks that will match outfits. So I've definitely thought about it, but not fully like in a serious way.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I've noticed a lot of people who make cosplay commissions. They've taken up making masks. So when when a cosplayer wants a photo shoot done, they'll have like a mask that matches their outfit. Um, who would you say your least favorite? Like what was your least favorite cosplay to do? Like you would never do it again within a million years.
Ooh. I'd have to say probably classic Harley Quinn. I borrowed the cosplay from a friend once, and I just remember being really hot in the full body suit. It didn't fit well. Putting the makeup on was really hard. Using the bathroom was difficult because you'd have to take everything off.
Ugh, no.
But so classic Harley Quinn's kind of been ruined for me just because of the experience I've had, but I'm definitely open to doing other Harley Quinn looks. But I think definitely Harley is
Just a no
probably a no
go.
go, or
Yeah,
it'll take me a while to want to do it again.
that's totally understandable. Let's see. I'm trying to think. No, I believe I asked this. Is there one character that you haven't cosplayed in so long that you would do again once COVID is over and done with?
Definitely Tara and Princess Merida from Brave. Both of those I really love doing. But I just feel they're more of a group sort of cosplay. I like to do them when I'm in groups with friends or with other cosplayers and just getting to meet other cosplays. It's both of those characters when I go to cons or when I've been asked to join groups. It's how do I say it? It's they've both been characters where it's easy for people to come up to me and ask like, "Hey, can I get a photo?" or like, "Hey, do you want to come take a group photo with us?" And so the first time I ever cosplayed Merida was Rose City 2019. 18, I believe. And the first Merida I wore was made by a friend who couldn't go, and so I offered to take Merida with me to go display her. And so when I was there, I ran into another princesses and I was taking photos by myself, and they came up and they asked me, they're like, would you like to take a photo with us? Like, can we join you? And I told them sure. And I remember I was standing there in the middle of all these princesses and I was so excited because I was like, I never thought I'd be in like a group photo with all these other princesses. And I was looking at this Rapunzel next to me and I'm like, wow, she looks really familiar. And later that day, I'm going through Instagram as I'm laying in bed and I see one of my favorite cosplayers, um, Miranda. She goes by Lilac Fables on Instagram. She posted pictures of her Rapunzel, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was literally standing next to one of my favorite cosplayers, and I didn't realize it because I was just so absorbed into Merida. Like, just everything was happening. So, Merida would definitely be somebody I'd like to bring back just because of the groups and getting to see friends and hanging out with like the princess.
Very nice. Now, speaking of cons, have you ever considered if you ever got the chance to have your own cosplay booth?
I haven't. I just because I'm such a small cosplayer and I like to do more simple things. I like to walk around and hang out with other people. But if there's ever a time where I grow in the cosplay community or I was offered a booth, I might consider it, but it's never something that I've personally considered.
Right, got you. What would you say, and I know a lot of people have their opinions on this. What would you say your least favorite thing about conventions are? Because I know everyone has, their pros and cons of conventions.
It's a hard one. I think it's consent as a cosplayer. I think that's my biggest thing for me is consent. Is people don't always ask to take photos or ask to come up to you and like touch your cosplay or things like that. Or I'll be sitting somewhere with like my fiance eating lunch and people will just come up to me. And so I think it's definitely the consent aspect when I'm in cosplay of just people don't always ask if they can take photos and things like that. They just kind of assume because you're dressed up, they can do certain things.
No, that's definitely one of the issues I was wanting to bring up for this is, always ask, and if they say no, respect their wishes, for sure.
Definitely, if you want to get a photo and we say no, we might tell you, hey, you can come find us later, or like, I'm just not ready right now, but you can always try again later. Most of the time, we say no because we're tired or we're in the middle of eating, we're trying to find a bathroom, we're just feeling a little overwhelmed. Cons are chaotic, so we just kind of need a minute to take a deep breath and register where we're at.
Makes sense. Now, not too long ago, I recently saw on your Instagram that you were in the midst of making your own Poison Ivy cosplay. Mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I Harley Quinn's one of my favorite characters, but I wanted to branch out and do another DC character. So I decided to do Poison Ivy. She was another cheap cosplay to do, which was really enjoyable. But I bought a bodysuit off of Amazon and some leaves, just like a plastic vine of ivy leaves, and I cut every single one of those off. And then I used glitter spray paint and sprayed them, like about half of them, to get kind of a different texture and look. And then I hot glued them onto the bottom.
Nice. Now, how long did that take you to get each individual piece of leaf onto the suit?
Total of it took me probably about 3 weeks. Um, and consistently, I took a lot of breaks. There was a lot of days where I just didn't want to look at her just because it was so overwhelming. But probably about 3 weeks before I felt satisfied with her. There's definitely a lot of things I'd like to fix though. She was a first run of this look. She's not my favorite, but it's definitely something that I want to give a try again. And I learned a lot of things while doing her.
Nice. And you've previously cosplayed as a bunch of other few comic book characters, right?
Yeah. My favorite cosplays to do are comic book characters, cartoons, and Star Wars. And so I've done a couple of other comic book characters. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, but it's definitely just easier to find reference photos. I like to cosplay characters I can find a lot of reference photos for. So I don't cosplay from TV shows a lot or movies. It's mostly cartoon and comics and things like that.
Nice. And you also did a photo shoot for Princess Leia, right? Recently too.
I did. Princess Leia is one of my favorite characters. She, I believe, was actually the first Star Wars character I'd ever done. I borrowed a wig from my friend JL, and she did a fantastic job on the buns. But I just wanted to do a casual, fun look, have some color changing lights in my computer room. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go for it. Threw on a turtleneck, threw on the wig, and played around with the lights. And I mean, it was fun. It was easy. I did a Christmas shoot with her and Britt Cosplays, our other best friend, and we did a Christmas photo shoot with Baby Yoda, where we were each the big, like the most popular girls in
Uh,
Star Wars, of Padme, Leia, and
uh,
Rey, and it was a lot of fun.
very
So,
nice. And actually, that's the thumbnail too for this interview is the Princess Leia one.
mhm. Yeah, she's so fun. She's really easy to get into, and those are probably some of the best photos I've taken by myself.
Very nice. And speaking of that, have you ever done photo shoots for other people where you're the one behind the camera?
I've done some for close friends. I I'm just starting to learn photography as a freelance model on the side. I really want to get more into my photography skills. And so I've done it for close friends, nothing serious. But my friend Brittany came down a couple weeks ago from Portland. I live in Eugene, and so she came down and we spent an entire day just getting in and out of different cosplays, and I spent all day behind the camera, and it was a lot of fun to be on the other side of the workings, of like being the one to take pictures and the one to edit them and get them out. So it was a lot of fun.
Very nice. We got about 7 minutes to go. Do you have like any stories you'd like to share, like any funny moments that have happened while in cosplays, or just any fun experiences that you've done while going to conventions and cosplaying?
Um, my favorite one is my Princess Bride story when I was really sick. I was up. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it took us a couple of days to cut out the pattern, the fabric, and everything else. But I was hit with a really bad cold that week.
Oh no.
And I'm allergic to cold medication, so I just kind of have to suffer through a cold. And I remember being up until 4 o'clock Saturday morning, the day of con, finishing the dress and getting about 3 hours of sleep before we had to drive to Portland, which is a 2-hour drive. And I remember walking around con just so dazed and so sleepy, but so happy and excited that I got Princess Buttercup done and that I could go get photos and all the compliments people gave me. It was really rewarding. But the drive home, I was out. I slept the entire drive home. I came home. I barely wanted to get out of the dress just because I was so tired, but it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Now I imagine you met a bunch of other Princess Bride cosplayers while at that con.
Mhm. Yes, my fiance and I, we were hanging outside of Artist Alley, kind of in like the community area, and we were taking photos there. And I was sitting on the ground with my dress fan out around me, and I didn't know that behind me there was two people coming up dressed as Fennec and Vizzini. And so they were just coming up behind me, and I'm just sitting there like nonchalant. And one of them asked me, they're like, "Is there any cities around?" Or whatever the quote is, and it was great. I got some photos of that. So she's definitely another one of those characters where people will come up to you and just say hi or ask for pictures, or if somebody else is dressed from the movie, they would come up and ask to get a picture, or ask to take a little video clip of some quotes from the movie. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Now, does your fiance, does he cosplay as well with you on occasion?
He does not. We've talked about it. He gets told that he looks like Thor from the Avengers movies quite often. And so we made him a hammer, and we were actually supposed to attend Emerald City this last year in March of 2020, but due to the pandemic, we weren't able to go. But we were going to build him a Thor cosplay, and then he was also going to do Geralt of Rivia. But just be-
Nice.
but just because of COVID, we didn't. But they're definitely still on the list of things to do. But he's much more of the type of person to sit on the side and kind of support me and just applaud me. And he's just like, "You do you. I'll sit over here and just watch from a distance.
Well,
This chaos you've created."
well, that's always good. It's always good to have someone, to support you in, your
Yep.
passion and everything. And definitely looking forward to seeing if he ever does Thor or Geralt.
I'm hoping he does Thor. I just finished Black Widow not that long ago, so I'm needing a buddy to help me with my event, like recruiting my Avengers, and I've got Cersei on the table from Witcher, and so I'm definitely wanting to do that as well with him.
Wait, who from The Witcher?
Siri.
Oh, Cirilla, nice. Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of cosplays of those, and that'd be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to do the video game one, so a little bit more detail.
oh, where she has like the scar on the eye and
Yeah,
everything. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha. Where now? Emerald City, where is that located exactly at?
It's in Seattle, Washington.
Okay, and imagine
Yeah.
that's a pretty big con too up in that area.
It's a really big con. I've never been. Last year was supposed to be my first year attending, and that would have been the furthest I'd ever driven for a con. It would be about a 5 hour drive, so we would have had to take the entire weekend off of work, including the Thursday before. So it would have been a couple days of just con stuff.
Right. And is that something you would recommend for anyone who's wanted to plan like a big con trip to like try to get there the day before con so that they can, or at least a couple days so they can prepare and everything? Because I know from experience, going on a long con trip is always best to like take like the day or the day before that off so you can like prepare your cosplays and everything.
Yeah, definitely take the day off before you attend a con if you're going out of town, just so that way you have time to prepare. You can make sure you have everything, that everything is put together the way you need to. And traveling just takes a lot out of you. Even just the 2 hour drive I do to Portland for some of the cons here can be exhausting because we have to leave so early in the morning to be able to find parking and then get into cosplay when we get there. But I definitely recommend taking a day off before just to make sure everything's ready. And then you feel prepared. You have a day to possibly relax if you're not doing con crunch. And then day of, you can just not worry about anything else. You can just get dressed, go to con, enjoy it, meet people, find art, and go to panels.
Nice. So we got about like a minute to go. Is there anything for those out there who are just starting cosplaying or who are wanting to get into cosplay? Is there anything advice or tips you'd want to give them?
It does not have to be perfect. I think as cosplayers, that is one of the hardest things we face is that we feel that everything has to be perfect or it has to be screen accurate. And I think it's important to remind ourselves that if we're doing the best that we can with the budget we have, the materials we have, just go for it. Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. Cosplay is about enjoying it. It's a hobby. First thing, like first and foremost, it's a hobby. It's there for you to enjoy, and it should never be anything stressful.
No, I couldn't agree anymore. So I think that should do it. Again, thank you for being the second guest for Get to Know That Cosplayer. If you ever want to come on the show again, because I'm going to suggest to all the cosplayers, and if there's any like specific topic you want to discuss, feel free to let me know, and we can go from there.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this.
You are very welcome. Once again, I am Wayne the Unknown. Thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching.